Hello and welcome to another car fix video from Car Fix. What I do, what I love, and I love what I do. Today's video is going to be the second half of my first video, which is the cylinder head replacement on a 2007 Toyota Tacoma with a 4.0 1GR engine. Now, I did get the cylinder heads back from the machine shop, and as you can see, they look much cleaner. And what they had to do, they had to replace 12 valve seats, the intake valve seats, all of them. So you got 6 on one side and you have 6 on this side. So all the intake valve seats had to be replaced, and also I had 2 intake valves that were bent, and they had to replace them. And also they pressure tested them, and they said they were holding at least 40 psi. So I don't have any cracks in them, so they're ready to go and ready to install in the engine. Now, before installing the cylinder heads on the block, I have to remove the camshafts. I have to make sure that everything is staying in order. So when I remove the bearing caps for the camshafts, I have to set them down so I don't mix them up. So this way they go back in the same order they were removed. And also I have to prepare the block itself, like the surface where the cylinder head sits. This is where the cylinder head gasket goes on each bank. This surface has to be flat, has to be smooth, no cracks, nothing in it, no oil. It has to be spotless. Like as you see right here, I already cleaned it and it's ready to go. Alright guys, now I have all 4 camshafts out of the cylinder heads. I put them in order, and also I got brand new cylinder head bolts, because anytime you have yield to torque bolts, they have to be replaced. Now, brand new head gaskets, right side, left side. And also one more thing, before I install the cylinder heads, this is the block right here, and right here is top dead center for number 4 and number 1. So if I leave the pistons up like this when I install the camshafts, the camshaft's bearing caps, the camshaft itself is going to push on the valves. Now, when it pushes on the valve, it might actually come in contact with the piston and damage the valve one more time. So what I have to do, I have to turn the crank counterclockwise, so the piston will go down. So when I install the camshaft, the valve will not come in contact with the piston and damage the valves. Alright guys, this is the new cylinder head gasket right here. I already got it on bank 1, but I have to put some RTV, about 1.5 centimeters on each end right here of RTV or silicone before I install the cylinder head. That's on both sides. Alright guys, now I applied the RTV on each end right here, and I have my cylinder head bolts over here, and I'm just gonna go ahead and set the cylinder head on the block. Alright guys, now I got the cylinder head on the block, and I got the cylinder head bolts just snugged up a little bit. Now I'm gonna torque them to 27 foot-pound, and then I'm gonna take them 180 degrees. Now in order to torque this cylinder heads evenly, I have to go in sequence, which is basically says, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it has to be crisscross. So this way the cylinder head will be torqued evenly. So I'm just going to go ahead and torque it to 27 foot-pound first, then I'm going to take it 180 degrees each bolt. Now I got all the bolts torqued to 27 foot-pound. Now for the 180 degrees, I marked each bolt, I don't know if you can see it, at 9 o'clock. So 180 degrees will be from 9 o'clock all the way to 3 o'clock. That's 180 degrees. That's going to be a lot of fun because I don't have a lot of space here, but hopefully we'll get it done. Alright guys, now after I torqued the bolts to additional 180 degrees, remember my marks, they used to be at 9 o'clock, now they're at 3 o'clock. I did use an angle torque tool right here. I couldn't go the full 180, so I went to 290s, just to be more accurate. But anyways, I think they all should have the same torque on them, so this should be okay. Alright guys, now I got the right hand cylinder head installed. Now I need to install the left side. Same thing I did with the right hand side. I'm gonna have to get the little head gasket right here. And it should only go one way, go in one way, just like that. Oh, you got the guide pins right there, so this is how it's supposed to look. But I'm gonna have to put some RTV on both ends right there, just like I did with the right hand side. Oops. Just like that. And now I'm just going to set the cylinder head on top of it. Alright guys, now I have the left-hand cylinder head sitting on the engine block, and I have my head bolts right here soaked in oil. Now I gotta make sure the those washers, they're supposed to be with the bolts, so because they come out, so you gotta make sure they're in place. Just go ahead and install the bolts. One more. It's right there. And we have the two small front bolts right here. And all I have to do now is just snug them down. Alright guys, now I got all the cylinder head bolts snugged down by hand. Now I'm going to have to torque them to 27 foot-pound, but they have to be torqued in sequence just like the right side. So I'm going to go according to my paper. It's going to go 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we're gonna start with this guy, this one right here, 27 foot-pound. Just gonna hit a click, and a click. Number 2, number 3, and number 4, 5. Oh crap. Number 6. Number 7. And number 8. Okay, let's go one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. All right. Now we got all of them torqued to 27 foot-pound. Now I'm gonna have to go 180 degrees, just like the right side. All right, guys. Now I got the bolts marked at 9 o'clock, just like the right side. And now I'm just gonna move them to 3 o'clock. That's 180 degrees. All right, guys. Now I got the all the bolts to 3 o'clock. Everything is torqued down. Except these 2 bolts right here. These 2 bolts, I'm going to start with the top one. Only takes 22 foot-pounds, so I'm just going to go ahead and torque it. Alright, guys, now we got everything torqued down. The main cylinder head bolts torqued to 180 degrees, and these 2 small bolts to 22 foot-pound. So everything is done, as far as bolting down the cylinder heads. Now I need to install the camshaft and put spark plugs in it. Now when installing the camshaft, each camshaft has to be in a certain position, especially on cylinder number 1. So the exhaust has to be at 12 o'clock and the intake has to be at 7 o'clock. So 7 o'clock will be this way, this right here, and 12 o'clock will be pointing up. Same thing with this one. The intake has to be at 7 o'clock and the exhaust has to be at 12 o'clock. Also, before I install the camshaft, I'm going to put some assembly lube on the lifters right here. The other side. All right. Now I'm ready to install the camshafts. Oh, I forgot one thing. This bearing cap right here has to be put in place before I install the intake camshafts on bank number 1. So this has to go in place just like that. And we install the cams. Exhaust at 12, just like that. And intake at 7 o'clock. Just like that. There we go. Do the same thing with the other side. That's the intake. 7 o'clock. and exhaust 12 o'clock. Here we go. Now I'm going to install the bearing caps for the camshafts and torque them down, and put some spark plugs in it, and probably bolt the exhaust manifolds on both sides and start assembling the engine from the front. Alright, for the bearing caps, this is the right exhaust cam right here, bearing caps. I'm just going to take them and make sure they stay in order. So that's the first one right here. That's the fourth one. And that's the third one. And that's the second one. Alright, just hand tight for now. And I do the same thing with the rest of the cams. Alright guys, now I got the bearing cap, the camshaft bearing caps on, and I snug them by hand. You always snug them by hand, not by a socket or a wrench or anything like that, to make sure they're seated correctly. And also they have to be torqued in a certain pattern. So like the paper right here says, okay, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. So to torque them, I'm going to need an inch torque wrench, which is the small one right here, and a foot-pound torque wrench. The small ones, they go to up to 80 inch-pound. The big ones, 18 foot-pound. So I'm going to start with the small ones, and we go right here. I got my torque wrench set at 80 inch-pound, so we're going to go until it clicks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and now the big torque wrench, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. Just to make sure I have the proper torque on them, I'm going to have to go one more time on them, but this time not in the same pattern. Just I got to make sure they're torqued. So that's 80, 80, 80, 80, 80. And do the same thing with the bearing caps, the main ones. Okay. So now everything is torqued correctly. All I have to do is just mark it, make sure it's marked. That means it's already been torqued, so I don't have to worry about it again. And that's it. Now I'll do the same thing on the left hand side. Now for the spark plugs, I got original equipment or genuine parts Toyota, and I had to gap these because they were not gapped correctly. The specs are 39 to 43. That's the gap right here. Some of them were gapped correctly, the other ones were not, so I had to re-gap them to make sure everything is correct. Now I'm going to install them in the cylinder head. Stick one right here. That's the last one. And just snug them by hand, and we'll use the torque wrench to open the 13 foot-pound. Alright, now we got the spark plugs in, everything is okay. Alright, now I need to probably install the exhaust manifolds and then assemble the engine from the front. Alright guys, now I got the both exhaust manifolds bolted on and torqued 16 foot-pound on both sides. Now the next thing I'm gonna install the camshaft sprockets and tensioner and timing chain. Now for the timing chain, I have the left side and the right side. I do have the new timing chain kit, the main timing chain and the secondary timing chain for the camshaft. Alright guys, for the camshaft sprockets and timing chains, I have new chains, new tensioners, new sprockets, but I did not have new actuators. So to set up the timing on this one, this is the back side, so this actually goes like this. That's the left side and that's the right side. So the timing chain has two colored links on it, and the camshaft actuator, the intake, has two dots right here, and the exhaust cam sprocket has one dot. So basically what I have to do, I have to line up the yellow links on the two dots on the actuator and on the exhaust sprocket right here, exhaust cam sprocket right there. So this is how it's supposed to look like, and when you flip it, you have two dots right here and one dot right there. Same thing with the with bank one, yellow link, yellow link. Okay, so before I install everything, I have to put the install the tensioners. Those tensioners are actually directional. This is the left side and it's marked left and it has a locking pin, and this is the right side and it's marked right and it has a locking pin too. Those are the exhaust cam sprockets, which is I'm replacing. I colored the I marked the timing mark on it on both of them, and also I'm going to mark the timing mark on the actuators. So let's install the timing chain tensioners. This one, I think it's 14 foot-pound. So let's go ahead and install it. And that's the left side. And the right side. Okay, that's 12, 14. One, and that's two. And we'll always mark them just to make sure. Alright guys, now after installing the tensioners on the cylinder heads, I'm going to install the sprockets and the intake actuators. Now you got to be careful with this one because the intake actuators are actually interchangeable, so you can actually mix them up. But the left side actuator has two dots, and the bank one intake actuator has only one dot. So when you put your timing chain, the colored link has to be lined up with only one dot on the intake, bank 1, and on the bank 2 use the 2 dots on the intake actuator. For the exhaust, it doesn't matter, only one dot on both of them. But if you put this wrong, like if you put this on the 2 dots right here, your whole timing is going to be off and you're going to damage your valves again. So make sure to put your colored link on the 1 dot in the back right here. So now I'm going to install them, and after I install them, I'm going to install the main timing chain. Alright guys, now I got the secondary timing chains installed and lined up. All the timing marks are lined up. Now I have to torque the bolts to 74 foot-pound. Alright, now after I got the bolts torqued down, all I have to do is just take the slack off of the timing chains by pulling the pin for the tensioner right here. That's one. And that's the other one. So, alright guys, now after I install the secondary timing chains, I need to install the main timing chain. Now I have a new timing chain set right here. You got the chain, the timing chain guides, upper and lower, and the crankshaft sprocket, and the idler pulley, and also a brand new automatic tensioner for the main timing chain. First, I'm going to install this idler pulley right here. Now, the idler pulley has a keyway right here. That's like a guide pin right there, and the flat side. This flat side has to be on the back. This one goes in there, and the bolt goes right there. And the torque specs for this one is 44 foot-pounds, so not a lot of torque. Alright guys, now I got the main timing chain set up. I got the guides, the tensioner, the idler, and the guides right there. Now the timing marks on this one, you got 2 dots right there, two lines. It has to be in the center. For this one, you have 1 line, and the colored link has to be on that. Now for the crankshaft, the timing mark has to be at 9 o'clock right there. That's the colored link right there. And also the key set right here has to be lined up with that line right there. So this is okay. The camshafts are okay. All I have to do now is just torque the idler right here and release the tensioner. Now after installing the main timing chain, I'm going to have to install the front engine cover right here, and after that I'm going to put the valve covers on and install the intake manifold. Well, actually I have to install the water outlet housing at the back of the cylinder head, and assemble the engine from the front. Alright guys, now this is the front engine cover right here. I already cleaned it, and also I replaced the oil pump. This is a brand new oil pump, 2 new O-rings. I got my bolts over here, everything is clean. Those are the studs, they go at the bottom right here. And these 4 bolts, they go you know, through the oil pan. And also I'm gonna install a new water pump, which is what started all this. This is the brand new oil pump, water pump. Of course it has a gasket. I would like to install the water pump with the timing cover because it has these long bolts right here. They go through the cover to the block and the cylinder heads. The smaller bolts right here, they only go through the cover. So these small bolts, they hold the water pump to the cover only. Of course, we got a new O-ring right here, a new O-ring over here, and also there's an O-ring that goes on the back of this, which is right here. It's supposed to go on the cylinder head. Now, which the location of it is right here, right there. And also there's an O-ring that goes right here on the oil pump to the oil pan. So I'm going to start by installing the front main seal, and before I put any RTV on it or silicone, I'm gonna try to install it dry, see how it fit. Now the oil pump might not lined up with, this is the crankshaft sprocket right here. So it's got the oil pump driving slots right there. So I already marked it right there because that dot has to be at 9 o'clock. So it goes like that. So we line it up, and there you go. It's at 9 o'clock right there. Alright guys, I have the front engine cover in place, and I torqued all the 24 bolts and 2 nuts on the bottom right here, and 8 bolts for the water pump. The water pump is about 70 inch-pound, and the timing cover is 17 foot-pound. There's also 4 bolts at the bottom of the oil pan. Those are 17 foot-pound also. Now the next step, I'm going to put the valve covers on it to so I can seal the engine, so I can start putting the alternator, AC compressor, and the intake manifolds, and the wiring harness. Alright guys, now I'm ready to install the valve cover gaskets and valve covers. I got new gaskets right here. The valve cover is clean. But before I install it, I need to apply a little RTV to these joints right here, where the cylinder head meets the front timing cover. So basically, I'm just going to put a little bead here and a little bead here, and that's it. Alright, now I got both valve covers installed and torqued down to specs, and also I had to replace the PCB valve right there. Alright, now I'm ready to install the harmonic balancer, or the crankshaft pulley right here. If my timing is correct, this mark right here should line up with the mark right here on the timing chain cover, the 0 mark. That's cylinder number 1, top dead center. Now I've already got the harmonic balancer on the engine right here, and I have the bolt in it. Now in order for me to torque it, I have to hold it with this tool right here. Now this tool's got 2 bolts. They go right here, and they screw into the harmonic balancer. So that's how you hold the crankshaft from turning while you're torquing it. Alright guys, now I got the lower intake manifold in place, and I have the a new belt, all the idler pulleys right here, and the harmonic balancer, and the actuator, and also the water inlet and thermostat housing right here. I put a new thermostat on it, and next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to install the fan and the fan shroud, upper and lower radiator hoses, add some coolant to it, install the upper intake manifold, and put the air filter snorkel, and start it up. Alright guys, now before I put the upper intake manifold, I need to pressure test the coolant system. I already pressure tested it without coolant, and it was holding pressure. Now I'm gonna add coolant to it and pressure test it one more time. And also, before I start the engine up, I need to prime the oil pump. I already put some assembly lube in the new oil pump, but since the oil filter is right up here, I'm just gonna add oil to the oil filter housing right here, with a small funnel. This will until this is full. This will reduce the amount of time that the engine runs dry, to prevent dry engine start damage. And also, I already filled my oil filter with oil. This will saturate the oil filter, and also reduces the amount of time that the engine runs dry, to prevent any damage on a dry engine start. Alright guys, now to add coolant to the system, I'm using this tool right here, which is basically I'm going to hook up an air line to it right here. And what this tool does, basically, it creates negative pressure inside the coolant system. It's hooked up to the radiator right here, and it pulls all the air out of the coolant system and the engine block, and displace it with coolant. This is also a good tool to know if you have any leak in the system, because if my needle drop when I create vacuum in the system, that means I have a leak somewhere. Now, if it doesn't have a leak, doesn't mean it doesn't. If it doesn't have a leak on vacuum, it might have a leak with pressure. So that's why I'm going to pressure test it after I add coolant to it. Now for the coolant, I'm using Toyota coolant right here, which is 50/50. It's not concentrated, and it's supposed to be pinkish color or reddish color. So I don't know if you can see it or not, but I have 2 gallons of it. This is the correct stuff for this truck, and it's already it's already mixed 50/50, so I do not have to add any water to it or anything like that. So I'm good to go right there. Alright guys, let me show you how this tool works. I got it hooked up to the air line right there, and my valves are in the right position, and I'm just gonna push the on button right here, and it's just gonna, and as you can see, the needle's going up and it's building vacuum. This is negative pressure right there, and also you can probably see the hose are collapsing right here. I don't know if you can see it or not, but the hoses, they're going to collapse due to the negative pressure. See, now it's getting flat. Yep. I should stop it somewhere in the yellow area. That's a safe area right there. Now, as you can see, I got the air line disconnected, the valve is off, and the needle is at halfway in the yellow zone. That's good right there, and it's not dropping. That means no leaks, at least under negative pressure. So to fill it up with coolant, I got the other lead, the coolant line right here going to the coolant bottle, and all I have to do is just open this valve right there, and it's gonna start sucking coolant into the engine. So let's go ahead and do that. As you can see right there, now it's sucking coolant into the engine. Alright guys, now I filled up the engine with coolant, and I have my pressure tester on it, and it's not dropping, and it's holding pressure. It's been holding pressure for almost a minute or 2 now, so it should be okay, and I don't see any drips anywhere, so we should be okay. So yeah, so I'm just going to release the pressure. And top off the coolant system. Now that tool I use is not going to fill the entire coolant system with coolant. I have to top off the radiator and also fill the overflow tank right there. As you can see, the radiator is not full, still have some space left in it. So I'm going to top off the radiator and fill the overflow bottle right there. Alright guys, the moment we've been waiting for. I got the plenum in place, snorkel. I put some oil in it, and the coolant is full. Everything is ready to go, and also I have a battery charger on it. And one thing before I start it up, I pulled the fuse for the main engine relay right there, which is, it's a 20 amp fuse, which is right here. Now the reason for that is because I don't want the engine to start, because the engine is still dry on the inside, so I want to crank it for a few seconds, or maybe 10 seconds or less, and then put the fuse back in there and start it up. So hey, let's do it. Alright guys, now this is the oil pressure light right there. I'm gonna crank it until the oil pressure light goes out. That means the oil pump is building up pressure and sending the pressure throughout the engine. As you can see, the oil light went out, so we're good to go. Here we go. Now I'm just gonna put the fuse back in there and open the garage door, and push the truck back a little bit and start it up. Alright guys, now the moment I've been waiting for, I got the 20 amp fuse back in the fuse box, and I have my charger on, and I'm gonna start it up and see how it sounds. So let's do it. Let's see, here we go. Oh, yeah. Sounds really good. No misfire in it, nothing. I don't know if you guys remember how the engine was running before I did the head gasket job on this. It was idling up and down, and we had a misfire in it. And now it's running very smoothly, and it sounds okay. Alright guys, this is the end of this video. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. And if you have any questions, any comments, please leave them in the comment section. And also activate the notification bell, so every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. From now until the next Car Fix video, thanks for watching, and I'll see you then.